I want you to imagine something. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and it is all gone. Not some of it, all of it. The money in every account, gone. The house, gone. The job, the title, the business, whatever you had built, gone. And then imagine the part nobody warned you about, that when the money vanished, most of the people vanished with it, quietly, over a few months, because it turned out they had come for the money and not for you. You are standing on burned ground, nothing left but yourself and the smell of smoke. I do not have to imagine this. I lived it. I was at the very top. I ran money. I had the fortune, the name, the seat everyone wanted. And in my early 40s, it came down in a single terrible season, all of it. I stood on the burned ground of my own life at nearly 40 and understood for the first time the difference between what is real and what only looks real. I call that place year zero. Because when you have lost everything, the calendar of your life resets. Every advantage, every head start, every dollar burned to nothing. You are back at zero, which feels, at first, like the end. And here is the thing I need you to understand before I say another word. The thing that took me years of ash to learn. Burned ground is not dead ground. Burned ground is the most fertile soil there is. There is a kind of pine tree. I read about it in the worst year of my life, and it saved me, whose cones are sealed shut with resin and will not open, will not release their seeds until a fire comes through hot enough to melt the seal. The seed cannot begin until the forest burns. The fire is not the end of that tree. The fire is the only thing that lets it be born. Most people standing on burned ground see only the ash. They spend the rest of their lives mourning the forest that was. The few who rebuild, the ones who come back stronger than before the fire, see something else. They see that the seal has finally melted. They see year zero not as the end of everything, but as the one moment the seed can open. I am going to give you 7 brutal rules for rebuilding from year zero. I earned every one of them on the burned ground of my own life, and I am a man who has now stood on both the summit and the ash, so I will not lie to you the way people who have only ever climbed will. A warning first, this will be hard, because it will ask you to let some things stay dead that you are still trying to carry. Do not look away from that. But letting die is the first rule, and it is where the seed opens. Let us begin at zero. Rule 1, let the old life finish dying. The first rule is the cruelest, and every person who rebuilds slowly does it because they refuse this one. Grieve hard, grieve fast, and then bury it. You think the heaviest thing to carry from a ruin is the loss. It is not. The heaviest thing is the corpse, the man you used to be, the life you used to have, dragged behind you everywhere you go because you cannot admit he is dead. I have watched people spend a decade on the burned ground doing nothing but standing over the body of who they were, waiting for it to breathe again. Call it what it is. It is the vigil. You keep a vigil over the old life, the title, the house, the version of yourself people admired, and while you keep it, you cannot plant a single thing because a man on his knees at a grave has no hands free to work the soil. The pine seed cannot open while the old tree still stands. The fire has to take the whole forest first. That is not cruelty. That is the mechanism. The heat that destroys the old growth is the exact same heat that melts the resin and frees the seed. You do not get one without the other. Here is the money truth underneath the grief, and it is unsentimental. As long as you are trying to protect the old life's numbers, the house you cannot afford, the standard of living from before the fire, you will make catastrophic decisions. You will pour good money into a dead structure. You will borrow to keep up a corpse. The single most expensive thing a ruined person does is refuse the new, smaller number and keep spending like the old one is coming back. Your ego will fight this harder than anything. It will whisper that accepting the loss is giving up, that a strong man does not let the old life go. It has it backwards. Clinging is the weakness. Burying is the strength. And the world will help you keep the vigil. It will pity you. Treat the old version as the real one, and this one as a tragedy. Do not accept the pity. Pity is just another person insisting the corpse should still be breathing. So here is your assignment, and do it this week. Write down, honestly, the exact life you can afford right now. The real number, the real rent, the real everything, not the one you are defending, the one that is true today. Then let the other one die. Grieve it if you must, hard, for a day, a week. Then bury it and pick up your hands. Let the old life finish dying. The seed cannot open until it does. Rule 2, rebuild the builder first. The second rule, when everything is gone, you make one desperate mistake. You rush to rebuild the money. Rebuild the builder first. Everyone standing on burned ground asks the same frantic question, how do I get the money back? Wrong question. The money was never the asset. The money was what the asset produced. You are standing in the ashes, staring at where the crop used to be, and the only thing that survived the fire is the one thing that can grow another crop you. Your mind, your skills, your health, your capacity to make sound decisions, that is your entire remaining balance sheet. And most people, in a panic to replace the crop, burn down the last thing they have left trying. Call it the frenzy. The ruined person works 20 hours, sleeps 4, eats poorly, decides desperately, and drives the one surviving asset themselves straight into the ground. They liquidate their health, their clarity, their judgment to chase fast money, and they end up with no money and a broken builder. Now they truly have nothing. The forester who manages the burn knows something. After a fire, you do not force the ground. You protect what survived and you let it recover its strength first, because a weak root system cannot hold a new tree. The recovery of the soil comes before the growth of anything in it. Here is the mechanic. In plain financial terms, every good decision you will make from here depends on one instrument, your own judgment. And judgment is destroyed by exhaustion, panic, and despair faster than by anything else. A rested, clear builder finds opportunities. An exhausted, desperate one walks straight past. Your sleep is capital. Your health is capital. Your calm is the highest yield asset you own, because it is the thing that allocates all the others. Your ego wants heroic, suffering, the grinding, the sacrifice, the story of how hard you pushed. Skip the story. Suffering is not the same as progress. A man destroying himself is not building. He is just adding a second fire to the first. The world will applaud the frenzy. It loves the hustle, the no days off, the wreck yourself myth. That myth has buried more comebacks than any market ever did. So your assignment. Before you chase a single dollar, stabilize the builder. Get the sleep. Move your body. Protect your mind from the people and inputs that feed the panic. Spend the first weeks making yourself clear and strong, not busy. A steady builder is worth more than a frantic one, and it is the only asset the fire could not take. Rebuild the builder first. Everything else is grown by his hands. Rule 3, shrink your life to the studs. The third rule feels like defeat and is actually the fastest freedom there is. Strip your life down to the bare studs. Need almost nothing. When people lose everything, they cling hardest to the size of the life they lost. The same rooms, the same overhead, the same monthly wait. They think shrinking is shameful. So they keep the big fixed costs and spend all their new small income just feeding a structure built for a person who no longer exists. They are heating a burned house. Call it the overhead trap, and it is math, not mood. Every fixed cost you carry is a fire you must feed every single month before you have earned a thing for yourself. A big life has a big monthly burn. On burned ground, that burn will consume every green shoot the instant it appears. The larger your overhead, the more you must earn just to stand still, and the longer, zero holds you. After a forest fire, the first things to return are not the tall trees. They are the low, hardy, ground-hugging plants that need almost nothing, a little light, a little rain, and because they need almost nothing, they grow where nothing else can. They own the burned ground precisely because they are small. Smallness is not their weakness. It is why they survive first. Here is the mechanism, and it is the most powerful lever in a rebuild. Freedom is not income minus wants. It is income minus needs. The smaller your needs, the sooner any income at all exceeds them, and the moment your income clears your needs, even by a little, you are free to save, to choose, to refuse bad work, to take real risks. A man who needs $2,000 a month is free far sooner than a man earning 3 times as much who needs all of it. Low needs are the shortest possible road back to standing on your own. Your ego will scream that shrinking means you have fallen, that people will see the smaller apartment and the older car and know, let them know. The ego that needs to look unfallen is the exact thing that keeps you fallen. There is a strange, clean power in owning almost nothing. Nothing owns you back. The world sells the opposite with every breath. More, upgrade, you deserve it, do not settle. That whole machine is designed to keep your needs high so your freedom stays permanently out of reach. So, your assignment, list every fixed cost you carry, then cut it to the studs, the smallest, cheapest, leanest version of a life you can honestly stand. Do it fast, do it deep, do it before pride talks you out of it. Get your needs so low that even a beginning income covers them. Shrink your life to the studs. Small is how you survive the burn. Rule 4, take the humble work now. The fourth rule is the one that chokes proud people, and pride is exactly what it is here to kill. Rebuild your cash flow before you rebuild your dignity. Take the humble work today. The ruined person waits. He will not take the small job, the beneath him work, the thing that pays little and impresses no one, because it does not match who he was. He sits on the burned ground holding out for something worthy of the old title, and while he waits for dignified work, he has no cash flow at all, and the waiting itself bleeds him closer to true ruin. Call it the dignity delay. Pride tells you it is protecting you. It is starving you. Pride is a luxury of people who have not been burned. The unburned can afford to be choosy. You cannot. Not yet. When fire clears the ground, the seeds that win are not the ones that wait for perfect conditions. They are the ones that take root the instant there is any opening at all, in poor soil, in hard light, before anything better arrives. They do not wait for the ideal spot. They take the spot that exists. Here is the financial truth, cold and simple. Cash flow is oxygen. It does not matter in year zero whether the work is worthy of you. It matters whether money's coming in, because income buys you time, and time is the one thing a rebuild runs on. Humble work that pays today beats dignified work that might pay in 6 months, because the humble work keeps you alive long enough to build the dignified thing on the side. First you get the oxygen, then you get the choices. Never the other way around. Your ego will call the small work humiliating. Let it be humiliating. Swallowing your pride is not losing your dignity. It is the most dignified thing a grown person can do. Feed yourself and your people by any honest means, and let no work be beneath you. The man too proud to take the small job is not noble. He is just hungry with an audience in his head. The world will feed that audience. It will ask what you are doing now and make a face at the answer. Take the humble work anyway. The people making the face are not going to pay your rent. So here is your assignment, and there is no waiting on it. Find honest work you can start this week. Any work that produces cash flow now, however small, however far beneath the old you, take it. Let it stabilize the ground while you build the real thing quietly underneath. Pride eats last, or pride does not eat. Take the humble work now. Oxygen first. Dignity grows back. Rule 5, protect the first green shoots. The fifth rule is, where most comebacks die a second death, right at the moment they start to work. When the first small progress appears, protect it like your life depends on it. It does. Here's what people do. The instant things start turning, the first real money comes in, the first bit of momentum, the first green shoot pushing up through the ash, and they immediately spend it, show it, or bet it. They upgrade the car. They tell everyone they are back. They take the first profit and gamble it on something big to speed things up. And the shoot, so young its roots are barely into the soil, gets torn out or trampled, and they are back to zero, except now with the added despair of having been close. Call it the premature harvest. You cannot harvest a seedling. But the relief of finally seeing green after all that ash is so overwhelming that people grab at it before it has grown roots and kill the very thing that was saving them. A seedling on burned ground has no protection, no canopy, no shelter, no established root, a single hard wind, one careless boot, and it is gone. The ones that make it to be trees are the ones that were sheltered, left alone, and allowed to root in obscurity before they were asked to bear any weight. Early growth needs to be hidden, not displayed. The mechanic is pure discipline. Early progress in a rebuild is fragile because it has no reserves behind it, no cushion, no buffer, no root of savings to survive a shock. So every early dollar has exactly one job: to become roots, not to be spent, not to be shown, not to be risked on a shortcut. Build the buffer first. Let the young thing get boring and stable and sheltered before you ask anything of it. The wind is coming. It always comes. Root before it does. Your ego will be desperate to announce the comeback to show the people who watched you fall that you are rising. That announcement is the wind that flattens the shoot. The need to be seen recovering is the enemy of actually recovering. Grow in silence. The world will tempt you with the fast version. Leverage the early win. Go big. Why wait? That temptation has killed more second chances than the original fire. So your assignment. When the first progress comes and it will do nothing with it, bank it. Build a small wall of cash between yourself and the next shock. Do not upgrade, do not announce, do not gamble it on speed. Let the shoots root in the dark where the wind cannot reach them. Protect the first green shoots. A young fire needs shelter from the wind. Rule 6, choose your soil. The 6th rule decides whether anything you plant survives, and it has almost nothing to do with money. Choose your soil carefully. The soil is the people you rebuild among. When you are down, you take whoever is around. You stay in the same circles, keep the same company, absorb the same voices, and you do not notice that some soil is poisoned. Some people, without meaning you harm, keep you rooted to the old dead forest. They remind you constantly of who you were. They doubt the new thing quietly. They pull you back toward the burn every time you try to grow. Plant a seed in poisoned soil, and it does not matter how good the seed is. Call it the wrong ground. A rebuilding person is porous. You soak up whatever surrounds you because your own strength is not yet set. Around the wrong people, you rebuild slow, sick, and small. Around the right ones, the same seed becomes a tree. The soil determines the harvest more than the seed does. After a fire, foresters know the ground itself matters more than the seed you cast on it. Ash-rich, living soil brings a forest back in a decade. Dead, poisoned ground grows nothing no matter what you plant. Same seed, different soil, entirely different forest. Here is the mechanism, and it is quietly financial too. The people around you set the invisible defaults for your decisions. What is normal to spend, normal to attempt, normal to believe is possible for someone like you. Surround yourself with people who lift, who build, who assume you will make it, and their defaults become yours. You make better money decisions almost without trying. Surround yourself with people rooted in decline, and their ceiling becomes your ceiling. You do not rise much above the average of the ground you were planted in. Your ego will resist this because leaving poisoned soil means admitting some relationships were part of what kept you down, and it will feel like betrayal or arrogance to step away. It is neither. Protecting a fragile new life from ground that would kill it is not betrayal. It is the most basic sense. The world will call you cold for it, for pruning who you spend your hours with when you are trying to grow. Be cold about it. Your one remaining life is too short to root in ground that grows nothing. So your assignment, and it is hard. Look honestly at the ground you are planted in. Move toward the few who lift you and assume your rise. Put distance between yourself and the voices that keep you tied to the ash. You cannot always choose your seed, but you can, right now, choose your soil. Choose your soil. The same seed grows a different forest in different ground. Rule 7, trust the growth you cannot yet see. The 7th and last rule is the one that asks the most faith, and it is where the whole thing is won or lost. Trust the compounding you cannot yet see. The forest after a fire looks dead for a long time before it is greener than it ever was. Here's the thing no one warns you about a rebuild. For a long, long time, nothing visible happens. You do everything right, you bury the old life, protect the builder, shrink your needs, take the humble work, shelter the shoots, choose your soil, and you look up after a year, or 2, or 3. And the ground still looks burned. You cannot see progress, so you conclude there is none, and you quit right before it breaks the surface. That is how most comebacks actually end, not in disaster. In quitting during the dead-looking years. Call it the barren season. It is the stretch where the work has all gone underground, into roots, into foundations, into things that do not show, and the surface still looks like ash. It is the most dangerous season precisely because it feels like failure. while it is actually the necessary shape of success. After a fire, the forest floor stays black and bare, while beneath it, the whole system rebuilds, roots spreading, soil enriching, seeds rooting in the dark. For years it looks dead to anyone glancing at the surface. And then it comes up all at once, and within a decade it is denser and greener than the forest that burned, because the fire cleared the old and fed the new. The greenest forests are the ones that burned. Here is the mechanism, and it is the truest thing I know about money and about life. Compounding does almost all its work invisibly at the end. The early years of any rebuild, savings, skills, reputation, capital, produce results so small you can barely see them, and then the curve turns upward, and the last stretch delivers more than all the years before it combined. The reward is real, but it is backloaded and slow, so the entire test is whether you will keep going through the barren season on faith before the evidence arrives. The ones who make it are simply the ones who did not quit in the dark. Your ego wants proof now. It wants the fast, visible comeback. When the proof does not come on its schedule, it whispers that you are fooling yourself, that it is not working, that you should stop. That whisper, believed, is the only thing that can truly defeat you now. The world reinforces it. It worships overnight success and never shows the barren years underneath. So your slow, invisible rebuild feels like failure next to everyone else's highlight reel. So here's your last assignment. Decide now, while you are clear, that you will keep going through the season when nothing shows. Measure the inputs, not the surface. Did I do the right things this week? And trust that the growth is happening underground where you cannot see it. Give it the years it needs. The forest is coming. It is just still under the ash. Trust the growth you cannot see. The burned forest comes back greener. Let me set the 7 down together, the way I set them down for myself on the worst mornings, when the ground still looked dead, and I needed to remember there was an order to the ruin. Let the old life finish dying. The seed cannot open while the old tree still stands. Rebuild the builder first. You are the only asset the fire could not take. Shrink your life to the stud. Small is how you survive the burn. Take the humble work now. Oxygen before dignity, always. Protect the first green shoots. Root them in the dark before the wind arrives. Choose your soil. The same seed grows a different forest in different ground. And trust the growth you cannot see. The burned forest comes back greener than it ever was. Notice what none of these required. Not one of them needed money to begin. Not one needed the fortune back, or the title, or the people who left. Every single rule is something you can start on burned ground with nothing but yourself. That is the whole secret the never burned will never tell you, because they do not know it. The things that actually rebuild a life were never the things you lost. They were always free, and they were always in your own 2 hands. Now, I am going to tell you the thing I did not tell you at the start. The thing this whole talk was really for when I lost everything at nearly 40. I told you the money went, the house went, the name went, and I told you the part that taught me the most that most of the people went to. I want to go back there, because that is where the fire did its real work. For 30 years, I could not have told you who in my life had come for me and who had come for the money. The fortune stood in front of everyone like a fire in a clearing, and everyone gathered around it, and the light was so warm that you could not see who was there for you and who was only there for the heat. I thought I had 100 friends. I thought I was loved. Then the fire went out, and in the sudden cold, almost everyone left quietly over a few months, drifting off toward the next warm clearing. It was the loneliest thing I have ever lived through. And it was the greatest gift I have ever been given, though it took me years to say that and mean it. Because when the false warmth was gone, I could finally see the few who stayed, a handful who sat down with me in the cold and the dark, when I had nothing to offer them and never might again. My wife, who had married the man and not the fortune, and proved it in the only season that could. 2 friends out of the 100. A brother I had been too busy at the top to call. That was the whole harvest. And it was worth more than the fortune ever was. Here's what I need you to hear, if you hear nothing else. The fire does not only burn away the money, it burns away everything. False, the fake friends, the borrowed status, the version of yourself you performed for people who were only there for the heat. And what is left standing in the ash is the only thing that was ever real, your people. And the chance, finally, to build a life around what is real instead of what merely looked good in the light. I am wealthy again now. But I hold the money completely differently because I know exactly what it is worth and what it is not. It is not warmth. It is not love. It is not who will sit with you in the dark. It is fuel and nothing more. And the fire taught me not to mistake the fuel for the fire. Most people learn that too late, on a deathbed, cataloging a life spent gathering heat and losing the people. The fire, if you let it, teaches it while you are still young enough to build differently. You may be standing on burned ground right now. If you are, I am not going to tell you it does not hurt. It is the worst thing that will ever happen to you. But I am telling you, as a man who has stood exactly where you are and made it all the way back, look around at what is still there. The people who stayed when the fire went out, that is your real fortune. Everything else is just the crop you are going to grow again. So before you go, I want you to do something real, not something you feel. Feelings fade by morning. This is why so many people watch a thing like this, weep a little, and change nothing. We are going to make it a contract instead. Get a piece of paper, a real one. At the top, write 2 words, year 0. That is the date on this new calendar today, day 1. Then write the 7 in your own hand. And beside each one, write the single first action you will take this week. Let the old life die and the real number you can afford. Rebuild the builder and the one thing you will do to get strong and clear. Shrink to the studs and the fixed cost you will cut. Take the humble work and the honest job you will start now. Protect the shoots and the promise not to spend or show the first progress. Choose your soil and the one relationship you will move toward, the one you will step back from. Trust the growth you cannot see and your signature, promising you will not quit in the barren season. Then sign it and put it where you will see it on the mornings the ground still looks dead, because there will be many of those, and on those mornings a feeling will not carry you, only a contract will. The fire already happened. You cannot undo it, but the seed only opens in fire, and yours is open now, whether you can feel it or not. Stop mourning the ash. Start planting.